Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be creating this monochromatic look for you guys. So if you would like to see how you can create this orange smoky eye look, then just keep on watching. What I always start off with is a moisturizer because I do my eyes first and then I do my base. I let my moisturizer sink in nicely into my skin as I'm doing my eyes. I like to take the Revolution SPF 30 Protecting Boost for normal to oily skin. And I do put like a residue of my hands onto my eyelids because you do need SPF everywhere. The palette that I'm going to be using today is the Tati Beauty palette. I'm forcing myself to use palettes that I don't use as often because, you know, I paid a lot of money for this. Why not use it more? And as you can imagine, we are going to focus on the story column, but obviously I'm going to dip into other shades as well. I'm going to prime with my concealer today because it really does not matter what you prime your lids with. If you have super oily lids, then maybe, but honestly I tested out this concealer, which is the Collection Lasting Perfection, against P. Louise base, and it was literally the same. Held up and creased exactly the same. I can't promise that every single concealer will do that, but majority of them will. Many of my brushes are dirty, which is even better for this tutorial really, because I'm sure not many of you have like 50 brushes. You probably have like 5. I do prefer to work with this palette on a set base, so I'm actually going to dip into Aura. If you're not, it's actually better to work on a wet base, which will allow all the shades to stick to the base nicely. But this palette is very pigmented, so much so that if the base is wet, it actually clings onto it too much and it's hard to blend out. I'm now going to take my first brush. This is a tapered, I would call this a medium brush for my eye, but this could be a very big brush for some people. If you have small eyes, this might actually be your blending brush. So if you have smaller eyelids, you might want to check if the brush is about like 1/3 of your eye. So if I divided my lid into 3 sections, my mobile lid, which is the part that moves, mobile, the crease and that kind of area, and the area underneath the brow. You want something that's about 1/3 of your eyelid space. Enough rambling, let's dip into our shadow. I'm going to start with the matte story shade, and what I like to do, especially if it's a tapered brush, dip in the very tip, because that's where you want your shadow to be. After doing so, it's always nice to tap off the excess. You want to start in your crease, but not all the way on the outside, but not in the middle either. So you want to start at about 45-degree angle and just tap very gently. Tap tap tap. I'm almost tapping and pulling a little bit, taking a little bit more of my shadow, giving it a flick, and gradually putting that orange into my crease. I'm leaving the very outer corner bare and then leaving the very inner corner bare as well. And after tapping a couple of times, you want to take that brush and begin to blend. So you want to go back and forth. And the reason why I like to use tapered brushes is because majority of the shadow was on the very tip, and the surrounding bristles will help you blend. And I'm putting the tiniest bit of pressure, just holding it there, and then going back and forth. Very nice and gentle, but it's not quite the shape that I want it. So when I do look straight ahead, I do have a nice flawless blend, but I want to take this out because I do like to wing my eyeshadow up. You can even do this with your eye open. I'm going to take that brush and from the middle, as if there's a line going out. That's what I want to do. like that. And now again, all you want to do is blend the edges. So I'm going back and forth again, and as you can see, I'm blending in the same area, but I'm pulling this slightly up towards that third zone underneath the brow. So the fade is very gradual. If you are getting close to your brow with a very harsh pigment, you can always take another blending brush and blend with that. Because there's no pigment in the new brush, it will kind of blend away some of that pigment and will therefore help you with the overall blending. I want to add another layer of the same thing that I did. So in the crease and out, you want to intensify and secure that colour so it really is vibrant. I do like to use that clean brush technique. So in zone number 3, close to the brow, we have a touch, a very faint amount of orange. The biggest, the most intense is the crease and the outer third, because we are winging it out, and somewhat clean zone 1 because I focused on the crease. I'm taking the exact same tapered brush that I was using, and I'm going to take the matte ritual shade, which is the brown, and then doing the exact same. So starting from the almost outer third, but I'm not building it as much. I'm only going to intensify the outer portion. Once you start blending, it will all move. You can do circular motions, you can go back and forth again, up to you, whatever feels comfortable. I'm not picking up any more eyeshadow. I'm taking that eyeshadow and I'm blending it out. I'm now going to take the same brush again and I'm dipping into the matte story shade, the orange, and going on top of that brown, giving it a nice blend. You just want to build, build, build until you're happy with the amount that you have. And it's always, always, always easier to add than to take away. And now again, the same brush and more of matte ritual shade. And I'm finally going to move onto zone 1, the outer third of my eye. And I'm tapping the outer third, okay? And I'm going up. Once I am out as high up as my crease is, I stop there. And then from that outer portion of where I took that full wing, I'm going back to the middle. You're kind of making a triangle at the very outer corner, outside of your eye. You can clearly see the brown kind of triangle. Don't like that. Taking the same brush and the matte story shade, giving it a tap, and I'm blending that brown in. Just keep blending, and you can hopefully see that that triangle is no longer there. At least it's not like that really harsh triangle. I think the most appropriate thing to put on the 2/3 of my mobile lid is the metallic story shade. It's basically a pink orange with a gold shimmer, and I'm using my finger for this. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm tapping this all over my lid. If you wanted a flawless, perfect cut crease, this is when you would cut the crease. And blending this in is very, very simple. All you need to do is take your brush that you were using all along, dip the tip in the matte ritual shade, give it a tap, and begin to stamp the outer third again. And once you have that, you want to take the same brush, dip the tip in the matte story shade, move just the minuscule amount so you're over that shimmer and over the brown. And again, I'm just tapping. I do want to highlight my inner corner a little bit because I feel like this is very flat. So I'm going to take the tiniest bit of the metallic aura shade and put it on the inner third of my eye. And I'm now going to add the tiniest bit of black. You don't have to do this. If you feel like this is intense enough, don't do it. But I'm taking my blending brush I was using all along, really dipping the very tip into the matte memory shade, which is the black, and I'm going to start from the lash line of my outer third of where my brown is, and I am tapping again. It's like a tap and the tiniest pull, going up in a wing formation again, but I'm not going much higher than just after my crease, because as we can see by the whole makeup, I just hit myself with the brush, blending will take it up just where we need it. And now I'm going to put that brush down and wiggle it a little, and that wiggling will get you a nice blend. When you are very far out, take that clean brush, give it a blend. I'm now taking a cotton round with a little bit of makeup remover. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to clean up my fallout if there's any. I'm going to align this cotton round along the lower lash line, just slightly lower down. You can actually line it with the very tip of your lash. So your bottom lashes, where they end, it's usually about a couple of millimeters lower down than your lash line, and you want to go up at an angle onto your temple, and then you just swipe, and it's going to give you a nice crisp line. I'm going to do my other eye off camera and I will be right back. Okay, second eye is done. By now the moisturizer has sunk in nicely. I'm able to move on to my foundation. For my foundation today, I'm going to take Maybelline Superstay 24-hour full coverage foundation. I love this foundation. What I like to do before my under eye concealer is cream bronze / cream contour, because if my contour is too heavy, I'm able to work that concealer into it and tame it down a little bit. By now you already know that I love to use the Revolution Matte Base Concealer Stick in 13.5 or the Fast Base Foundation in F14. This is a little bit more cool toned. It will give you more of a contour. It's also a lot more pigmented than the concealer stick. I prefer the concealer stick, but I'm going to contour just a little bit as well. Actually, I'm not going to cream contour today because I feel like that's enough of bronzer. And now it's time to conceal the under eyes. Today I'm going to use Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite Concealer, and I set with a wet sponge. I did not cream contour, however I will powder contour a little bit, and for that I'm using Revolution Pro HD Powder Contour Palette. Everything is going to be orange today, so is going to be my blush. I'm taking the Rimmel London Maxi Blush in Sweet Cheeks. That's not enough. Let's take some of the eyeshadow, shall we? I'm taking the matte Story shade, the one that I have on my eyes. Take some of the excess off, give it a couple of taps on your cheeks. You can always add more. For my highlight, because I haven't used this in a while to highlight with, I'm taking the Revolution Sophie highlighter palette, and I'm taking my favourite champagne shade. I'm also going to use this shade to highlight my inner corners. Okay, the base is done. Let's do the brows real quick. I'm of course going to use eyelid pomade in blonde to fill them in. Okay, time to finish off the eyes. For your under eye, you will always need a smaller brush. You want almost like 1/3 of the size of the brush that you were using on your upper lid to go underneath. I'm going to start off by taking the matte story shade, the orange, and I'm actually going to start from the middle. It's easier to kind of go up to join the upper lid, and again I'm kind of like patting, and personally I like the way that looks by itself because it really does highlight what colour we wanted. And now I've got a piece of toilet roll and I'm going to clean the brush that I was using on the top. And when I can't see any more eyeshadow coming from the brush, that's when I'm going to use that brush to blend the edges of this orange on the lower lash line. To give this look a little bit more flow, I'm taking that lower lash line brush and I'm taking a little bit of matte ritual shade, and I'm going to put this on the outer third of my lower lash line, joining the upper lid of course. And I personally don't want to follow through and use a black on my lower lash line, but you could if you wanted to. I feel like this is smoky enough and it has a nice flow. I'm going to put some mascara and some falsies off camera and I will be right back to show you what I'm putting on the lips. Alright, I decided against falsies today, but I did put the NYX Off Tropic Pro Liner in Mousse Orange on my bottom waterline. I think it completes the look, and I did follow through with a little bit of black on the lower lash line. I mean, it just looks a little bit better. Today I'm going to be putting Charlotte Tilbury Stoned Rose lipstick on. Okay you guys, so here it is. This is my final orange smoky eye makeup look. I love monochromatic looks. Today's theme is orange, and thank you so much to Small Town Beauty for suggesting, or rather requesting, this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope it was thorough enough. Sorry if it's pretty long, but I tried to give you as much information as I could possibly can to achieve this makeup look. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You are the best. I hope to see you next time.